Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Excalibur Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. This is part of our extended Talk series with our friends from CG4, and I'm joined today by Will Barrowes from CG4. Will, thanks for joining me today. You know, one of the things that we have talked about in a couple of our initial episodes of this extended Tech Talk is getting to some use case scenarios and ways in which customers are leveraging the CG4 platform in collaboration with, in many cases, their CMDB to really bring a lot of additional value to the organization, but also in almost all cases, it's gaining an efficiency for the organization. And one of them we want to talk about is one of our customers that implemented CG4. And they're a fairly large organization, have multiple locations, but they have one primary receiving location. And so one of the use cases they looked at for CG4 was replacing kind of a hybrid set of solutions that they had that included barcode scanning for their previous solution. And they had implemented Sharewell service management, and we're leveraging the CMDB. But one of the challenges is they might receive 100 new laptops at a time, or even more in many cases, and need to now distribute those out to other warehouses, other receiving locations, and then have those then get into the IT department and eventually get deployed. But what happens to them? And have they received all of them, which is why they come into a single receiving location. We actually did an integration for their system. I want to say it was SAP, but it may have been PeopleSoft. But to their ERP system to be able to say, okay, here's all the things that were ordered. What all did we receive? And do a little bit of a true up. But the process that they were looking to do when we broke it down was fairly simple. The devices come in, and as part of their existing process, asset tags are attached to each of those devices. They're actually attached to the boxes. They're taped on, so as they move, they move, they've already got their asset tag assigned. But they're able to leverage CG4 scanning technology to scan. Okay, we've received everything, and now here's the of this 100 item shipment, we're sending 40 to warehouse 1, 40 to warehouse 2, and 20 to warehouse 3. And the same process can then happen at those warehouses to receive them and then show them as having gone to IT, so they're in an inventory status. But we all along the way, leveraging the barcode technology to know where things are. And also, I think as we used to call it, we'll kind of create the stub records within the CMDB. We know the serial number, we know the asset tag number, we know what type of device it is. And so as those are then coming online and are scanned by their technology within the network, additional data can now flow in, but the stub records are already there. We know we should have a laptop with serial number X and a service, I'll call service tag because I'm a Dell guy, but an asset tag of Y that's been attached. And it's in this particular location, and here's what's happening with it. And I know you have many other scenarios like that where customers are using CG4, and it's one of the things they're using it for. So many of the customers use it for multiple purposes, but is that shipping and receiving sort of scenario, because you can do large bulk receiving very quickly.
Yeah, every customer is just a little bit different from everybody else. And the nice thing about using the barcode scanning is you may have 4 or 5 steps between when you receive it on the dock and when you have it deployed out to your end users. Another organization may have 10 steps. And so, if you're able to do a barcode scan at every one of the steps that your organization wants to track the status and the location, it just gives such, improved reporting and efficiencies to everybody involved with, taking care of those assets.
Well, and I always think of too, when you're dealing with serial numbers specifically, usually they're alphanumeric in nature. So as a result, they're prone to error from a data entry perspective if I'm trying to type them into a keyboard, on a keyboard. And by being able to scan them, they're going to be accurate. And I'm going to have the right stuff. I'm not going to end up with kind of orphaned records, if you will, by hand typing stuff in and maybe not having it be accurate. But the other scenario that the
thing I was just going to add in there is that when you scan something, if it'll tell you right then if it's a known or a matched record. And if there's a problem with someone keying it in manually, like if the barcode's damaged, then it'll tell them, no, this isn't a valid serial number. Or it just helps eliminate, like you say, the orphaned record or the partial data that just ends up wasting people's time when they're doing the cleanup on the back end. Just get a good scan and get a validation immediately, and you don't have that problem. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, and the other scenario that is being leveraged beyond the scenarios we've talked about previously, like inventorying a data center and inventorying a department, one of the really unique use cases was they were doing department moves as they were reorganizing, and they've got large facilities, and so a particular group of cubes was being moved from one area of the building to another, and so IT was able to determine, using an inventorying type process, what are all the devices that are being moved, and then after all those devices are moved, because it's being done by a group that handles the moves of potentially pieces of furniture and boxes of stuff that come from the desk and everything else, they're able to then scan and determine that all of the proper stuff wind up where it was supposed to be, and do that over and over and over again as they're moving groups around. And it could be 4 or 5 cubes, or in the case of I was there as a consultant, and one of the cubes was I was sitting in, and so it happened while I wasn't even there, and they said, hey, when you come in, ring me as you get to the door, because we'll show you where we are now, because we've been reorganized in the building. And I know for a lot of our customers, these are common things that occur as they realign, in many cases, to just gain efficiencies, or reorganization from a structural perspective, and they want to have more folks. They don't want the director to be on the other side of the building or on 5 floors away if they don't have to be. But these are those opportunities, and I was just talking to a customer today about how things just go missing, and nobody realizes they're missing till kind of it's too late to do much about it. And by doing this, it ensures that, hey, do we know what's being moved? Is that all of the right stuff? You can potentially even capture errors on that front end, where maybe they scanned my docking station, and they go, wait a minute, this docking station is still assigned to someone else and never got reassigned to the person that's at this cube. You start to catch those little errors, and it's something that customers talk to us about a lot, which is CMDBs are challenging, and I've got a whole bunch of CMDB videos. If anybody wants to know about CMDBs and my opinion on how to build a good CMDB, I've got videos and webinars galore out on our YouTube channel. But I always liken a CMDB to a garden where, without proper maintenance, it's going to grow weeds. And by leveraging barcode technology, it helps us make sure that the weeds aren't there. So rather than using the hoe to try to get the ground ready, we're using the gas-powered rotor tiller to get the ground ready.
Along that same lines, if they are scanning something that shouldn't be scanned, you're using the wrong tool for doing that gardening, you can have the handheld pop up a message to the scanning tech saying, hey, this is not one of the assets that's supposed to be moved, or this is an unknown asset. And it saves just on the cleanup on the backside, and saves headaches for everybody. It makes sure you're using the right tool in that garden.
Well, and that's the ultimate goal when we start to look at CMDB. So many of our highly evolved, very mature customers, CMDB is the center of the universe. It drives so much about what they do as an organization. And if the CMDB is able to be tended to, we're using now a more powerful tool in that garden to help us ensure that garden's as healthy as possible. So Will, thank you for joining me today. I think One of the things those of you that are watching us, stay tuned, because we're going to dive into other use case scenarios and some very interesting things we've done to leverage CG4 and make our systems more efficient. Will, thank you.
It's always a pleasure, Mike, and thank you.